It was an extraordinary night in Washington, D.C. What's your reaction to the attack on the U.S. Capitol?
It was really something that is embarrassing a lot of people to see what happens at the Capitol. My view is that this has a reason. This were the actions of the President Trump that was always not accepting the outcome of the elections. And it is something of a very democratic principle to accept elections. And if you are not successful, you have to agree to the results. And asking people not to accept the election is one of the reasons for all the things we saw yesterday night.
He did refuse and said he'll always refuse to concede the election defeat. Do you think the U.S. president needs to come out and admit his loss?
I'm sure that the president should have admitted his loss for a long time, and now it's the last time to do so.
He's been accused of inciting an insurrection. I think Walter Steinmeier said something to that effect. Are there laws in this country that would stop a leader from inciting such a mob insurrection?
In the end, it is something that should not happen anywhere. It is one of the key principles of democracy that you accept a defeat and that you not ask people to develop violent actions against the parliament and, in this case, the Congress.
But does it disappoint you that such an important democratic partner allows such a thing to happen?
Not happy about the things we saw yesterday, but we are quite confident that things will become better. And you should know that the European Union and the United States are important democracy, and our cooperation and transatlantic partnership is important for democracy in the world. So it is absolutely key that the democratic principles are obeyed in our countries. And I hope this will be better in the United States.
But how has the transatlantic partnership been injured during the Trump presidency?
The main aspect of international relations for us is that we understand that there are a lot of interests of countries and things like that. This is okay. But there are also a lot of things that are important for us together. And the United States and the European countries are democratic states. We have the same principles, and that should have an impact on the way we are cooperating. And in the end, we should be responsible for a multilateral cooperation in the world. This is the only way to get peace in the future.
You know, when I came here in the 90s, Germans and Americans were great friends, and the invasion of Iraq in 2003 worsened that relationship. Now, under the Trump administration, it feels like it's at an all-time low. Do you think that damage can be repaired under the next administration, under the Biden administration?
There is a big friendship between the Germans and the Americans, and we understand very much that the United States were key for developing a democracy in Germany, and we will never forget that.
How do you react to reports that that the Trump administration wants to continue putting more financial pressure on Airbus? We're being told that there could be more to come. How would you react to that?
Sanctions are never a very good idea in trade relations, and there are two very successful international companies in the air industry, and this is Airbus and this is Boeing, and I think they should compete in the world, and there should be no sanctions between the European Union and the United States in this field, but this means that anyone should put away his sanctions and not increase them.
So would Germany still prefer to de-escalate? It's been reported that France would like to strike back with more sanctions.
It must be the common idea of the two governments and the government of the United States and the European Union to find a way to de-escalate, because there is a need for fair competition on the world, and it's helpful for all of our countries. In the end, even the competitors are benefiting from this competition.
It strikes me that there still hasn't been a travel corridor agreed between the U.S. and Germany, and such important partners, you'd think there would be one already. I know from talking to Minister Spahn that there have been discussions, months ago. Do you expect an agreement for a travel corridor with the U.S.?
It is an important aspect that we find a way to cooperate also in fighting against the pandemic. And this means also to find ways how we can better the travel between the countries, but this will always have an aspect that we have to look at, and this is how the pandemic is developing.
A lot of observers have seen that the U.S. has become a less reliable partner to Europe, and as a result, Europe is reaching out more to China. Do you see the mechanics of those relationships working that way?
I think that the world will be completely different as many people think today. There will be a lot of powerful nations, the United States. Obviously, there will be still Russia, there will be China, there will be the European Union, and there will be other countries from Asia, India, for instance, and Africa and the South of America. And so I think the only way for a good world is to cooperate and to find a way how we could get peace together. And this is the main idea of multilateral activities. And within this framework, we understand very well that there must be a very intense relationship between Europe and the United States.
But in terms of the China relationship, it looks like very bad timing that the EU reached an agreement with the country right before they arrested 50 democracy protesters, before they arrested people trying to leave the country.
It is important that we work on a way how we could get trade relations also with China that are working. There are a lot of questions that had to be raised in the past to make this better, because a lot of things are not working as they should. And if we could get progress in this field, this is good.
Let me finally ask you about the populism you were talking about, the problem with populism you were talking about. We've seen big protests around the Brandenburg Tor, the Grosser Stern. We've seen German right-wing populists break into the Bundestag. Is this a problem that you think will get worse, or is there a way to fix it quickly?
I'm convinced that populism is a threat for the good development of our societies. But it has also to do with something which is the disbalance within the societies. Social cohesion is key for a better future. And I very much understand the idea of respect that was important for Biden's campaign, and this will be the same in the debates in our countries. If we organize that respect is important in the way how we live together, this will decrease the support for populists in our societies. And I'm absolutely sure that in Germany, the populists will not have a good chance, and they are losing support at this time.
We have seen, though, this pandemic, exacerbate those income inequalities. A lot of people still have to go to work. A lot of people can't find a job. It's more difficult for example, mothers who have to care for children. Are you concerned about those income inequalities that are being exacerbated by the pandemic?
The pandemic shows clearly that there is a problem in our societies, and this is the inequality in incomes and opportunities. And so working for social cohesion and for a fair taxation system, for instance, is also key for the future of our societies.
Do you think that a vaccine rollout can be increased and made more efficient here in Germany?
It's absolutely good that there is a development of vaccines we can see today. A lot of research of the past years made it possible that two German companies, BioNTech and CureVac, are very successful in developing modern vaccines, as others do also, but this is really a big progress. And now it's absolutely the most important task for all of us to make it feasible that all the vaccines are produced as fast as possible so that we can give them to the people.
Are you optimistic that we can have everyone in Germany vaccinated, say, by the summer?
We are working to make it happen that as soon as possible, anyone in this country has the chance for getting a vaccine, and this will help to fight the pandemic.